Genshin, you're a really weird case, you know? Never in my life have I ever seen such talent, such effort, such mastery go into making cutscenes look ever-flowing with life, beauty, and passion, down to the last, minute details, to only then see it all thrown away and disregarded as the only tangible reward at the end of your sorry excuses for story quests. Hi, I'm the Shogun's poorly treated secretary, and today, I'm going to lose my mind trying to break down why Genshin's cutscenes are one of many catalysts for why nobody takes the story in this game seriously. And no, I'm not talking about the stupid unskippable text with the copy and paste NPC models making the same old movements almost 4 years into the game's lifespan. That's just straight up dialogue. I'm talking about these.
Lord have mercy. We must stay focused, brothers. We must stay focused.
Of course, there are much bigger problems with Genshin's story, but we've already seen and heard people lay into those with the force of 1,000 hurricanes. This is one problem I haven't seen talked about as much. And to be frank, I might be the only one who thinks this is a problem in the first place, so it might not even be a problem at all. But I'm still going to make my case anyways, because I can't stand it any longer. So you might be thinking, well, why are you still entertaining it then? I don't come back to this game frequently. The last time I genuinely emptied hours into Genshin was 2 years ago, and when I haven't touched a bad game in ages, especially if they're live service, the not good enough in me usually returns to them every once in a while just to see if they can change my mind. Maybe the game got better, who knows? Don't worry, I've cold turkeyed a lot of these games, but Genshin is hard to ditch because I like the combat and character designs. The problem is that there's not a lot to do because their endgame sucks, and their events outside of the combat-based realm are just boring variations of many games from other games. So all I had were building characters and these story quests that stacked over the years. Now if you guys don't know, Genshin has these main story-based missions they put out from time to time called story quests, also known as Archon quests. These quests feature the characters, new and returning, occasional empty, soulless, and derivative steps into different gameplay styles, hours upon hours of pointless dialogue, and usually one, or if you're lucky, 2 beautifully animated cutscenes. From what I remembered when I last played this game, it would take me 30 minutes to an hour to finish a story quest, so I thought I'd get a good amount of free primos thinking that this would be business as usual, but I was gravely mistaken. The dialogue has gotten worse. Not the quality of it, that was already in shambles. I'm talking about the length of it. And when did I realize this? When I completed the Hard I Know of Good and Evil quest line. There are 8, count 'em, 8 different world quests for this quest line alone. This is not an Archon quest pertaining to the main story. This is a world quest we're talking about here. A world quest that can take 4 goddamn hours. 4! You could maybe cut that down to 2.5 if you mash through the dialogue, but nowadays they're forcing you to listen to certain parts regardless of the button mashing, because the movements of the NPC models have to catch up with the constant skipping. And it's not like the meat of the quest is anything outside of worthless. You just sit there and watch a bunch of little elemental gnats bitch and moan about, I don't know, climate change or some shit, only for the climax to be us fighting against some stereotypical obsessed with his work researcher that you could see betraying you from miles away and repairing some trees. But the gameplay, Daura! At least the gameplay's good, right? Oh yeah, I love being forced to fly around as the fire gnat dropping bombs of molasses via clunky controls. And yes, I loved solving the same directly electric flow puzzle, but this time it's a different theme for the 500 billionth time 100 trillion times over. Oh, and who can forget about the constant shoving of the slow dendro spirits being the sole remover for every roadblock, both literal and figurative, having to wait for them to get to their destination, but oops, they're too scared without the monsters, so they sit there until you get rid of them. Or the defiled chamber. Yes, Daddy Chamber, please impose more pointless game lengtheners on me. I totally have nothing else to do today. Compare this to the likes of Mondstadt or Leeway, where world quests used to be just one single quest bigger than side quests, but not big enough quests to be considered story quests. Of course, some of their world quests had chapters, but they were few and far in between, unlike Inazuma, Sumeru, and Fontaine, where quests with chapters take up a bulk of their total world quests. But oh no, don't think that the Archon quests are getting a pass just because they progress the main story. I don't care how important you try to make these Archon quests, mihoyo. These lengths are outrageous, much more outrageous than they used to be, and somehow with all this extra dialogue and meandering around, they're still saying absolutely nothing worth being invested in. But what's this? A moment of reprieve? Wow, look at the Traveler go! She's expressing so much emotion. She's finally starting to feel like she's the main driver of the story. I can't wait to see what she's gonna do next.
This sure seems very different from what Paimon.
Now you see my problem, and it's a big reason why I gave up on this game aside from the lack of content and short endgame. Why should I care about the story when the only time I start to get invested in it is when a cutscene comes in? And not just a run-of-the-mill cutscene, no. These are different. I mean it when I say that this is some of the best cutscene work I've seen thus far. I don't know if there's separate teams working on this game, but whoever they are, find a better company to work for. Your talents are being wasted. Even though these cutscenes are considered blessed to last more than 30 seconds, everything was taken into consideration. When there's combat, there's ferocity, there's technique, there's risk, like Raiden's fight against Kamaji, or Eula's fight against Evil Albedo. When it's a slower moment like Ayaka's dance, you see so much emotion in their eyes. With every movement, it portrays whatever's going on through their minds. And when she uses her skill, you want an all-rounder that touches both bases? Remember Xiao's sacrifice? The interaction with Zhongli giving a slight impression that the world of Teyvat really is connected? Remember the songs used for these cutscenes? These were strong moments, no doubt, but there's no way they would have hit as hard as they did without the music perfectly conveying the emotional tone of the present scene. In fact, it's time for us to get a bit recent. Let's talk about Liney's magic show and the recent Fontaine acts. And for the potency of this video, let's break these cutscenes down a bit. Liney starts off the show with some impressive but admittedly juvenile birthday tricks. He knows that this isn't what we're here for, because who hasn't seen the animal out of the hat trick? He then demonstrates his higher power by having his companion Lynette leap into a cage filled with water. Everyone's happy and having fun until the lid snaps shut, granting Lynette no exit from what could be a torturous death. He seemed to be in angst. There was a tone of uncertainty and suspense. Would he actually succeed? Is she going to drown? Or is the feeling of suspense a hidden danger in the crowd? He reassures everyone. I mean, after all, he's not your ordinary party magician. He snaps, and Lynette disappears. He calls out to her while the crowd is losing their marbles, only for her to walk back onto the stage like nothing happened. The concert hall erupts with praise. The Traveler started to feel like the main character, sufficiently reacting to all that's happening around her, leaving Paimon to feel more like an accessory. As she should. I myself started feeling like an audience member. Then for the grand finale, a volunteer took to the stage. The performance was a shoo-in. The crowd was in awe as they counted down. Their final illusion was seconds away from being completed. They play it up for laughs to ease the tension, and the trick commences. Liney successfully switched places. All that's left is to reveal the volunteer's whereabouts. Then, the tank falls onto the volunteer's now coffin, leaving the people shocked. The Traveler gets into an attack position, further solidifying her presence as the main character. I mean, just look at Liney's face here. There's a reason to pay attention, a reason for me to be invested. We need to find out who did this. I leaned forward, searching like hell for a desperate attempt to be gripped by the tale being told. Then, the inevitable fade to black. The disappointment bubbles back to the surface. The NPCs return, and Paimon's voice made me sigh in frustration as I pushed myself back into my seat. After some button mashing, I saw that they were blatantly copying LA Noire, and I completely lost my motivation to see who killed the volunteer. At that point, I just decided to let the quests build up. They're not even a good time killer anymore because I can feel every second of them. Maybe if I could skip the dialogue I'd have less of an issue, but it's not that simple for me. Why not give us a story that I don't want to skip, with gameplay elements that I don't want to phone in and half do? Why not actually try to say something, anything engaging, something worth remembering down the road? Well kids, here comes the unfortunate truth. miHoYo is a profits first company, and the NPC text is one of the best ways they can make that happen. And don't come to me talking about the cutscenes are expensive. miHoYo's making EA money and has been since the get-go. And even if money was the problem, I never said that they had to smother us with them. A couple of cutscenes with good gameplay in between for shorter, tighter story quests would clear their endless amounts of slop any way to Sunday. The cutscenes are designed to be nothing but a piece of jelly toast after starving you for weeks. A piece of jelly toast in a way only they can make it, so that they can keep you within their grasp with just enough of a reward to make you forget about all that you went through, leaving the despair-ridden quest with high spirits to take into the next one. But not me. I don't care about what's next, and I don't care that we finally get to see our sibling again. I just don't care, because they don't either. Water Traveler is by and large her worst element yet, and this story has lost any sense of cohesion the second they killed off La Signora. I have no more patience, and I doubt that the story's gonna come to an end, let alone a satisfying one, when they unveil the rest of Tevad. I already saw the high bar you guys can get to, and the fact that you won't even try to reach it even 4 years later just further proves how lazy you are. I'm not angry, I'm not sad, I'm not even disappointed. That's just how it is, and I can't change that. This is why I made this a rant instead of a deep dive like I did Apex. I don't have the energy for tone-deaf bards like miHoYo anymore. We all know they're not gonna listen. This is nothing but a simple way to get this off of my chest and let Genshin go for good. In spite of how much I like the character designs and combat, in spite of me constantly idealizing a world where Genshin's story made use of their untapped potential, it's time for me to fully give up and move on to greener pastures.